Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, also subscribe to my channel. In this video, we will talk about Omo Valley Tribes, Survival International. So make sure to watch the full video. The Lower Omo River in southwest Ethiopia is home to 8 different tribes whose population is about 200,000. They have lived there for centuries. However, the future of these tribes lies in the balance. A massive hydroelectric dam, Gibe, has now been built on the Omo River in order to support vast commercial plantations that are forcing the tribes from their land. Salini Costruttori, an Italian company, started construction work on the dam at the end of 2006, and it is now complete. The government is now planning to building Gibe IV and Gibe V. This will destroy a fragile environment and the livelihoods of the tribes, which are closely linked to the river and its annual flood. After carrying out preliminary evaluation studies, both the European Investment Bank and the African Development Bank announced in 2010 that they were no longer considering funding Gibe. Land grabs and forced resettlement. In 2011, the government began to lease out vast blocks of fertile land in the Lower Omo region to Malaysian, Italian, Indian, and Korean companies to plant biofuels and cash crops such as oil palm, jatropha, cotton, and maize. It has started to evict Bodi, Kwegu, and Mercy people from their land into resettlement areas to make way for the large state-run Kura Sugar Project, covering 150,000 hectares, but which could eventually cover 245,000 hectares. The Suri who live west of the Omo are also being forcibly resettled to make way for large commercial plantations. Communities' grain stores, beehives, and their valuable cattle grazing land have been destroyed. Those who oppose the theft of their land have routinely been beaten and thrown in jail. There have been numerous reports of rape and even killings of tribal people by the military, who patrol the region to guard the construction and plantation workers. The Bodi, Mercy, and Shuri have been told they have to give up their herds of cattle, a vital part of their livelihood, and may only keep a few cows in the resettlements, where they will become dependent on government aid to survive. Services and food aid in the resettlement camps are often non-existent or of poor quality. No adequate environmental or social impact assessments of the impact of the plantations and irrigation scheme have been carried out, nor have the indigenous inhabitants of the valley given their free, prior and informed consent for these projects. Donors such as the UK and USA, the 2 largest providers of aid to Ethiopia, have made several visits to the region to investigate human rights abuses, but refuse to make public their findings, such as the reports from the latest donor visit in August 2014. Ways of life. The Lower Omo Valley is a spectacularly beautiful area with diverse ecosystems, including grasslands, volcanic outcrops, and one of the few remaining pristine, riverine forests in semi-arid Africa, which supports a wide variety of wildlife. The Bodi, Dasanach, Kara, or Koro, Kwegu, or Maguji, Mercy, and Nyangatum live along the Omo and depend on it for their livelihood, having developed complex socio-economic and ecological practices intricately adapted to the harsh and often unpredictable conditions of the region's semi-arid climate. The annual flooding of the Omo River feeds the rich biodiversity of the region and guarantees the food security of the tribes, especially as rainfall is low and erratic. They depend on it to practice flood retreat cultivation using the rich silt left along the riverbanks by the slowly receding waters. They also practice rain-fed, shifting cultivation growing sorghum, maize, and beans on the floodplains. Some tribes, particularly the Kwegu, hunt game and fish. Cattle, goats, and sheep are vital to most tribes' livelihood, producing blood, milk, meat, and hides. Cattle are highly valued and used in payment for bridewell. They are an important defense against starvation when rains and crops fail. In certain seasons, families travel to temporary camps to provide new grazing for herds, surviving on milk and blood from their cattle. The Bodis sing poems to favorite cattle. Other peoples, such as the Hamar, Chai, or Suri and Turkana, live further from the river, but a network of inter-ethnic alliances means that they too can access the floodplains, especially in times of scarcity. no voice. For years, the tribes of the Lower Omo Valley have suffered from the progressive loss of access to and control of their lands. 2 national parks were set up in the 1960s and 1970s, where they have been excluded from managing the resources. In the 1980s, part of their territory was turned into a state-run irrigated farm, and recently the government has begun leasing out huge tracts of tribal land to foreign companies and governments so that they grow cash crops, including biofuels. The tribal peoples who have been using the land for generations to grow their own subsistence crops and to graze their livestock have had no say in the matter. Although the Ethiopian constitution guarantees tribal peoples the right to full consultation and to the expression of views in the planning and implementations of environmental policies and projects that affect them directly, in practice consultation is rarely carried out fully and appropriately. The Lower Omo Valley peoples make all public decisions after extensive community meetings among all adults. Very few speak Amharic, the national language, and literacy levels are the lowest in the country, which means they have little access to information about developments which affect them. A USAID official who visited the Lower Omo in January 2009 to assess the impacts of the Gibe Dam reported that the indigenous communities knew either nothing or virtually nothing about the project. Gibe Dam. In July 2006, the Ethiopian government signed a contract with the Italian company Salini Costruttori to build Gibe, the biggest hydroelectric dam in the country. In violation of Ethiopia's laws, there was no competitive bidding for the contract. Work started in 2006 with a budget of 1.4 billion euros. The dam is now complete, and the government started filling the reservoir upstream in 2015. This has put an end to the natural floods. No artificial flood was released in 2015, and the flood released in 2016 was too low to sustain the tribespeople's crops. The dam blocks the southwestern part of the Omo River, which runs for 760 km from the highlands of Ethiopia to Lake Turkana in Kenya. The Lower Omo Valley is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in recognition of its archaeological and geological importance. Here the Omo flows through the Migo and Omo National Parks, home to several tribes. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe to our channel before you go. Thank you for watching.